Google, and then so many people that have really hit big, have gone against the tide. It may seem like you have no chance. It may seem like it's over. Never ever quit. If you're a quitter, I hope you quit right now and stop watching immediately. And people that can handle
people that can
pressure.
that can handle
pressure can be entrepreneurs,
can be
can be successful.
He's an American
businessman,
politician, and 45th president of the
United States of America.
As of 2017, Forbes listed him as the 544th wealthiest person in the world, with a net worth of $3.5 billion. His presidential campaign received unprecedented media coverage and international
attention.
Donald Trump, and
He's Donald Trump,
here's my take on
here's my take
his top 10 rules
on his top 10
for success.
rules for success.
Volume 2. Rule number 2 is my
Rule number 2
personal favorite.
is my personal
I'm curious to
favorite,
figure out
and I'm curious
Which one you
to figure out which one
guys like the best?
you guys like the best.
Also, guys, as you're watching,
Also, guys, as you are
if
watching,
you hear something that
if you hear something
really resonates
that really resonates with
with
you,
you, please leave it down
please leave it in
in the comments below. Put
leave it down in the comments below.
quotes around it so
Put quotes
other people can be
around it so other people can
inspired by your
be inspired by your
sharing. And
by
also,
your
when you
sharing. And also when
write it
you
down, you're
write
much
it down,
more likely to
you're much more likely
lock it in for yourself
to lock it in for yourself
too.
to lock it in for yourself to
Enjoy.
enjoy.
What would be one
What would be one
word of advice
of advice you
you would
would
have for an
have
upcoming
for an upcoming
businessman?
businessman?
For a future business.
For a future businessman.
Knowledge.
Knowledge.
But if it's one word,
But if it's one
one
word,
word's very hard for that.
one word very hard for
But
that.
the word is
But the word is knowledge.
knowledge. But you get
But you get
knowledge through experience.
through experience.
One of the things people
One of the things people
talk about is
talk about is
luck.
luck.
And I do believe
And I do believe
that people are lucky,
that people are lucky
and some people are lucky.
and some people are luckier
than others.
Than others. I do believe that.
But there's also an expression:
But there also an expression:
the harder you
the harder you
work, the luckier you get.
the luckier you get.
And I can tell you
And I can tell you 10
instances where
where
I didn't
I didn't quit.
when it was
When it was
1990, the world was coming
the world was coming down.
the debt market,
Was coming down. The debt market
which would everybody,
was everybody.
my friends and
All of my friends and
enemies were going
bankrupt.
I never did.
I never did.
And
And
the times were
the times were
actually just
terrible.
And even today you look
And even today you look
at times and you see
and even today you look at times
what happens, and you have
and you see what
to
happens.
learn. But the
And you
word
learn.
luck is
But the word luck is
very interesting.
very interesting.
But if I didn't
But if I didn't
work really hard,
really hard,
I probably
I probably
would not,
would not,
almost definitely
almost definitely
would not be
would not be here
today. And
and
unless you had
unless you had
me up as
me
a
up as a man
man who at one
who at one point
was successful.
was successful.
But let's see what
But let's see what
the loser
a
looks
loser looks like.
like. So you
So
have to
you have to work.
work hard,
So you have to work hard
because it is true.
because it's true.
You can develop
You can develop
luck
luck
through hard work.
through hard work.
Your first book,
Your first book,
The Art of the Deal, begins
The Art of the Deal,
with a
begins with a simple
simple
sentence
sentence that many people might
that many people might
find hard to understand.
find hard to understand.
You say, I don't do it for
I don't do it for the money.
Can you explain that?
Can you explain that?
Well, I do it because I
Well, I do it because I love it.
If I didn't love it,
If I didn't love it,
I wouldn't do it.
I wouldn't do it.
bad days. I
I have bad days.
Good days.
I have good days.
have days
I have a day somewhere
in the middle. But
in the middle. But
the end result is
the end result is
I love what I'm
I love what I'm doing,
and I don't do it for the money.
and I don't do it for money.
And I make money
And I make money
because probably
probably
I'm not doing it for the money.
I'm not doing for it's for money.
I do it,
I do it
and I do it well.
and I do it well.
I'm the biggest developer
I'm the biggest
in New York.
developer in New York.
I love building
I love building buildings.
buildings. I have a lot of fun building
I have a lot of fun building buildings.
The fact is,
The fact is,
I do it for fun.
I do it for fun.
I do it for game.
I do it for game.
I do it for sport.
I do it for sport.
I happen to make a lot of
I happen to make a lot of money
doing it. If I didn't
If I didn't enjoy
enjoy it,
if I didn't really
really love what I'm doing,
what I'm doing,
I wouldn't be successful.
I couldn't be
I
successful.
wouldn't be sitting with
I couldn't be staying with
you
today.
today. And what's the implication of
What's the implication
that for
of
someone
that
watching
for
this?
someone watching this
who wants to create
who wants to create
greater wealth? What's
greater wealth?
the message in that?
What's the message in that?
Well,
Do you
the
think?
message is you
Well, the message is
have to love
you have to love
what you do.
What you
if
do.
you do it for the
If you do it for the money
money
alone,
alone, it's probably not
it's probably not
going to work. I have friends where I tell them,
I have friends where I tell them,
get out of this business,
get out of this business,
which is a good
which is a good business,
business, and go into another business
and go into another
which isn't
business which isn't as
as good
good
a business
a business
because they like
because they like
the other business
the other business better.
better. They'll do better
They all do better
in a less
in a less good
good business, so
business, so to speak,
to speak, than they will in the better
than they were in a
Better
better
business because
because they like it.
going against the tide is
Going against the tide is
great
great
if it works.
if it works.
Now, it doesn't always
Now, it doesn't always work,
and you really have
and you really have to be smart to go against the
because you're going
tide
against a lot.
because you're going against a lot
Lot
of
of smart
smart
people.
people.
But when you get
But when you get
it right,
it right,
you'll end up better.
you'll land up better.
Whether it's Microsoft
Whether it's Microsoft
or Google,
or whether it's Microsoft or Google.
so many people
I mean so many people
that have really
that have really
hit big
hit big
gone against the tide.
have gone against the tide.
But you have to have great
But you have to have great
confidence in yourself.
confidence in yourself.
You have to be
You have to be
the right person.
the right person.
There are very few people
There are very few people
that can pull it off.
that can pull it off.
But when you pull it off,
But when you pull it off,
it's great. So,
it's great.
same thing in real estate.
Same thing in a real estate.
You go against the
You go against the
tide.
tide.
People are selling,
People are selling,
you're buying,
you're buying,
the tide changes.
the tide changes.
Never, ever
Never, ever
give up.
give up.
Just keep
Just keep
going forward.
going forward.
Never stop.
Never stop.
It may seem like
It may seem like
you have no chance.
you have no chance.
It may seem like it's
It may seem like
over.
it's over.
Never, ever
Never, ever
quit. If you're a quitter,
If you're a quitter,
I hope you quit
I hope you quit right now.
and stop
watching immediately.
immediately because you'll never make it.
Because you'll never make it.
Now you own these incredible
Now you own these incredible
casinos and
casinos and hotels
hotels, and the tower.
and the towers
In New York City, you're gonna build this,
You're going to build this
World's
tallest building now
building now in Television City.
in Television City.
When is enough
When is enough
enough? Or
or will
will Donald Trump never be satisfied
Donald Trump never be satisfied
with the
the
deal making and the
deal making and the
acquisitions?
acquisitions?
Well, I'm like a lot of my friends.
Well, I'm like a lot of
Friends from
my
Houston,
friends from Houston.
and I just keep chugging. I mean,
I just keep charging.
what you can do is just
I mean, all you can do
Keep
is
going,
just
right?
keep going. Life
is
is short.
sort of a pretty
Life is sort of a pretty
Short experience.
short experience,
and you have to
and you have to
maintain some kind of
maintain some kind of an
equilibrium, and
equilibrium, and the
the
way
way I maintain that
I maintain that
is to work,
is to work,
and I enjoy what I do.
and I enjoy what I do.
I love what I do,
I love what I do,
and I hope I do
and I hope I do it
it well. And so I just keep
And so I just keep
going forward, Dan.
going forward,
And then it's so far
and it's so far
it's paid off. Are you
it's paid off.
smarter than
Are you smarter
most people
than most
who
people
would call themselves
who would call themselves
entrepreneurs?
entrepreneurs?
You work harder? What
Do you work harder?
is the deal with you anyway?
What is the deal with you anyway?
Well, that's an interesting question.
Well, that's an
I
interesting
don't know if anyone's
question.
ever asked me the
I don't know if anyone ever asked me the
question, am I smarter than other
Am I smarter than
people?
other
I think
people?
that
I think that
without a certain
without a certain
innate intelligence
innate intelligence
and without a certain
and without a certain
drive,
drive,
going to be successful.
you're not going to be successful.
I have a friend
I have a friend who
who was not successful
was not successful
at all. But was really up and
but was really up
coming.
and coming.
He had a
And
thing. He
he had a thing.
would only fly
He would only fly
first class.
first class.
I'm not saying
I'm not saying do
do
this
this because for somebody it
because for somebody
won't work, but
it won't work.
he needed that
But he needed that
mentally. Right?
mentally.
He wanted
He wanted
To
to
fly
fly
first class because mentally-
because mentally
he wanted to think
he wanted to think
he was the best,
he was the best,
and that's it.
and that is.
And even though
And even though he
Didn't have much money at
didn't
the
have
time.
much money at the time,
this is years ago,
this is years ago,
he would always
he would always
fly. I used to
fly.
criticize him,
I used to criticize him,
but it put him in a good state.
but it brought him in a good
And
state
he
of
became a
mind,
very, very,
and he became a very, very
Successful guy.
successful
Yeah.
guy.
very, very successful.
Very, very successful.
And
And I've always
I've always remembered that
remembered that
he would never fly.
He would never fly
He
coach.
would always fly first
He would always fly first
class,
class,
even though he didn't have the means
even though he didn't have the means to
to
fly.
fly. So,
So,
look, it's
look,
complicated,
it's complicated,
but whatever it takes
but whatever it
Takes
takes
to train that.
to train that.
always believed in
I always believe
Positive
in
thinking.
positive thinking. At the same time,
I don't want to mislead.
at the same time, I don't want to mislead. I also believe
In aspiring
in aspiring
in terms of
in terms of
what you're doing,
what you're doing,
aspiring to
aspiring to protect
against the
against
downside. You
the downside.
can't just be this wonderful
You can't just be this
Wonderful guy
wonderful
walking around
guy walking around
things positive because
everything's positive because
unfortunately that's
unfortunately
not the way the
that's not the way the world
world
is.
is. I love to tell
I love to tell people
to think about
think about
the challenges
the challenges
so that when they do
so that when they do
come along,
you're ready.
you're ready. Let's suppose that I have
Let's suppose that I have a
a
job,
job, but I have the feeling
but I have a feeling
that I want to start
that I want to start
my own business.
my own business. But I have the feeling that I want to start my own business.
How would I know
How would I know
that I'm the right kind of
that I'm the right kind of
person
person
for the entrepreneurial
for the entrepreneurial life?
life? To me, that's the best
To me, that's the best
question you've asked.
question you ask,
And it's also the tough.
and it also the toughest.
Somebody has a family,
Somebody has a family,
has a job,
has a job,
they have a nice job,
they have a nice job,
they get X dollars
they get X dollar
a week. They don't have to worry
They don't have to worry
about
about very much.
It's not going to be great.
It's not going to be great.
They're not going to live in Palm Beach.
They're not going to live in Palm Beach.
But you know what?
But you know what?
They have a job.
They have a job.
And it's income coming in.
And there's income coming in.
The hardest thing
The hardest thing
to do, in
to
my
do,
opinion,
in my
in
opinion, in business
business, is to leave that
is to leave that job
job and become an entrepreneur.
and become an entrepreneur.
Because you're risking
Because you're risking
your wealth,
your wealth,
you're risking your
you're risking your family,
your health,
your health,
your family's health.
your family's health.
You're really risking a lot.
You're really risking a lot.
You have to
You have to know
in your gut
in your gut
whether or not you have
whether or not you have
it
it
to be an
to
entrepreneur.
be an entrepreneur.
Can you handle pressure?
Can you handle pressure?
Can you handle all of
Can you handle all of the
the
problems
problems that you're going to be
that you're going to be
confronted with?
confronted with?
And there'll be many, many
And there will be many, many problems.
problems. But
Problems.
the toughest
But the toughest
job that somebody
job
has, in
that
my
somebody has,
opinion,
in my opinion, in business,
business, is to know
is to know
when to get out of
when to get out of
something and when to go in
and when to go in something,
because that's a
because that's very,
very, very
very risky
risky proposition.
propositions.
You know, when people ask me
You know, when people ask me about success,
I've just started thinking
I just started thinking
about it over the last
it
couple of
over the last couple of
years because
years
I've seen a lot of it.
because I've seen a lot of it.
You have to have
You have to have
an ability to
an ability to handle
pressure. because you no matter how
no matter how
successful you are,
I have many
friends and enemies, a lot of
enemies,
enemies too. I don't
lot of enemies too.
care, but
I don't care, but they are smart.
I have a lot of enemies,
I have a lot of enemies,
and I've
and
watched people,
I've watched people,
and I've seen it.
and I've seen it,
And people
and people
that can handle
pressure,
can be entrepreneurs,
can be entrepreneurs,
can be successful.
can be successful.
Now I have some friends that are
Now I have some friends that are really smart. Now I have some friends that are really smart.
But they can't handle pressure.
But they can't handle pressure.
In which case they should work.
In which case they should work
For somebody to great.
And
have a good life.
have a good
There's
life.
nothing wrong with it.
There's nothing wrong with it.
Because I almost think that's an
Because I almost think that
instinctive thing. The ability to handle pressure.
The ability to handle pressure.
Now one of the things I tell people about pressure.
Now one of the things I tell people about pressure
is, you know what they said? How do
you know what they said?
you handle pressure?
How do you handle pressure?
had more pressure than me?
Who's had more pressure than me?
Yay.
Yay.
Have I had pressure over the
Have I had pressure over the years?
years?
Years.
And I mean, I get criticized
I get criticized
in my hair, but it's
at
not
my
so
hair,
bad. And
but it's not so bad.
it's real. It's
And it's real.
mine.
And it's mine.
You know it is my real
You know it's my real hair.
hair. I mean,
I
killed.
get killed.
I had an article recently
I had an article recently
that was so
good.
It was such a great
It was such a great
article. And then it had one line.
And then it had one line.
But he wears the worst
But he wears the
hairpiece I've
worst
ever seen. I
hairpiece I ever seen.
couldn't show the article
I couldn't show the article
to anybody, and it's not even true.
and it's not even true.
But you have to have the ability
the ability
to handle pressure.
to handle pressure.
And if you can't
And if you can't
handle pressure,
handle pressure,
you have to know
you have to know
that
I have to know that
about yourself.
about yourself.
You have to know that
You have to know that
about yourself.
about yourself.
So,
So,
handle pressure.
handle pressure.
If you can't, that's
If you can't,
okay.
that's okay.
But one of the things I tell
But one other thing I tell people
about handling pressure
pressure is remember,
because they asked me the question,
because they ask me the question,
how do you handle this
how do you handle the stress?
stress?
The stress.
And somebody actually said,
And somebody actually said,
Donald, you're so
Donna, you are so handsome.
handsome. You believe this? I love this person.
Do you believe this? I love the person.
You're so handsome.
You're so handsome.
How have you stayed
How have you stayed
so handsome
so handsome
under all this pressure?
under all this pressure?
And I actually thought of
And I actually thought of it
but to myself, you have to remember,
You have to remember,
it doesn't matter. God
it doesn't matter.
matters. Your
God matters.
family matters.
Your family matters.
It doesn't matter. And
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
if you say it,
And if you say it,
I have some people say, I've got to be
they
successful.
say, I've got to be successful.
I've got to be.
I've got to be.
They'll never be successful. It's
They will never be successful.
too crazy.
It's too crazy.
They can't think straight.
They can't think straight.
Does that make sense? Does that
Does that make sense?
make sense to you?
Does that make sense to you?
That was going crazy,
That we're going crazy,
standing up about your
standing up about your success, right?
success, right?
Right?
So
So
you've got to handle.
you've got to handle.
Now he's a little bit more low key.
Look now, He's a little bit more
Hey,
low-key.
that's very good. I like that.
Low-key. That's very good. I like that.
We've calmed him down.
We calm him down.
So you've got to
So you've got to be
be
able.
able. You've got to be able
You've got to be able
to sort of say to yourself,
to sort of say to yourself,
nothing
nothing
matters that
matters that much
other than the real
other than the real
big deals.
big deals.